What's up, guys? It's Missy. Today I'm going to do a video about sexual assault. Okay. This is something that it happens constantly everywhere. It's a problem all over the US. I know that we like to push it under the rug and act as though it's not going on or doesn't exist or whatever. Okay. But there are so many topics and videos that I'm going to be doing related to sexual assault, but this one in particular is going to be kind of my story. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of what I've been through personally in this video, but more importantly, I am speaking to somebody. This video is for you kids that are going on with this shit. If this is something that's going on in your life right now, okay, or you have kids that you suspect maybe something's going on, or maybe you are also suffering or did or whatever. Okay. This speaks out to a lot of people, in other words, is what I'm trying to say. Now, there's a lot of, I guess, different types of sexual assault, and it's kind of like the way you break it down. So you have people that get molested, and then you have people that get, forcibly raped, right? Is, I guess, the way that I would put it. Now, typically what ends up happening is it's somebody that you know, somebody that's close to you, somebody that's close to your child. Usually it's either a family member or a family friend that you trust. And that stems to my very first point, and that is, do not trust people, okay? It's the people that are closest to you that are going to do you wrong. Now, that being said, when I was younger, when I was 2 years old, I had, now, again, I have bits and pieces of my memory from back then. But me and my stepbrother, we had been playing outside of the apartments in the area that we were in. And I had come home with bruises and stuff around my wrists and my ankles, is what my mom said. Now, I have bits and pieces of this memory of a guy pulling up in a car and offering me and my stepbrother, candy, and being, raped in this guy's car. Now, like I said, it's very, very, how do I explain? I don't remember much of that, thank God. But I do know that something did happen, right? So as time goes on, now I'm maybe 4 or 5 years old. I was in daycare, and one of the older kids at the daycare, he would apparently, pin me up against this daycare wall and just kick me in the crotch, and he ended up getting removed and stuff from the daycare, which I do remember that, not like vividly, but I do remember it. My sister, she's had her own bouts of stuff with sexual assault, and I'm not going to say anything as far as like what happened, because that's not my place to disclose her stuff. So I'm not going to get into that, but she went through it as well. My aunt, same thing, my mom, and pretty much every girl that I've ever met has went through this. Now, when I was 8 years old, my mom and my sister's dad got a divorce, and I didn't know my dad. He's in and out of prison my entire life. So, I didn't have a father figure. But when I was 8, my sister's dad and my mom got divorced, right? My mom started dating a lot of people and things like that. And she would bring home guys like every night, dude. It was bad. Anyways, one of the guys that she brought home had a son, a 12-year-old son. So that would be 4 years, almost 5 years apart. It was like 4.5 years. And he started to molest me when I was sleeping, right? And this went on for years and years, and I never told anybody. And it was to the point where, he would come over every weekend, right? And he would spend all day playing video games. And then I knew it was going to happen. So I would pretend to fall asleep to get it over with, right? Like, okay, I'm going to pretend to fall asleep, get this over with, and then I can actually go to sleep. Okay? That's how fucked up this was. Now, again, an 8-year-old girl, I don't know why I didn't say anything. I can't tell you. I don't know. And I've tried to rack my brain around that for so many years as to why I never said anything. But after some time, my mom had so many boyfriends, but she had another boyfriend with a son, and he never did anything like that. But his dad was my adopted dad. And I had confided in him about what was going on with the other boyfriend's son. And I don't know if he ever secretly told anybody. I don't think he did because, obviously if he did, nobody said anything because it went on for so long after. So I do think that he kept that secret that I asked him to keep. Now, as time went on, here we are 10 years later, and not quite 10 years. I would have been 12. So that was 4 years. And that same boy that had been, molesting me for so long ended up as my first actual boyfriend. Yeah, I know. What a head fuck, huh? And I can't explain it, but yeah, I loved him. I'm not, I don't know why, but I was really attached to him, and I shouldn't have been because, he's clearly molesting me. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around this, the logic behind like Stockholm syndrome, right? And you hear about this shit, and people that have never been through it, they don't understand. And the people that have been through it don't understand. Like, I don't understand it either. Okay. And I've been trying to understand it for years, trying to figure out like what the hell would make somebody like anybody that would do that to them. You know what I mean? And I know that there's like survival, mechanisms that we use to, like people that get kidnapped and they get held in captivity, and then they get attached to their abusers as a form to survive. But that's not really what was going on here, And so when I was 12, he would have been 16, right? So I lost my virginity to him when I was 12 years old. Now, back then, again, I didn't see just how sick that really was. A 16-year-old boy with a 12-year-old girl. Again, like I said, I did not see how bad it really was. So here we are, and, we've been together for quite some time. And you think that it would stop when you get with somebody, right? No, it didn't. This dude was like this regardless of getting it, like, consensually did not matter to him. Like, that was what he liked, was somebody who was sleeping. That's all he liked, was somebody who was sleeping. And that is what I had programmed into my brain as to what sex was. It was, somebody touching you while you sleep. And, as you get older, you realize, okay, this isn't right. This is wrong. This isn't, the way things are. And it made a lot of sense as to why I ended up, when I was, young, why I ended up doing DXM, which for those of you guys who don't know what that is a cough suppressant medication. It's in Robitussin DM. And you might have heard of Skittles, Coursing, cough and cold, that type of stuff. It's a very dissociative high, right? You drink a bottle of that shit and you are just not even on this planet. That is for another video, but it's very, very out of body and dissociative. Like, all form of reality isn't there. And so here I am, okay? I'm, 12 years old. I'm having sex. I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm pounding bottles of cough syrup and just getting beyond fucked up at this point. Now, back then, looking at myself now, back then, I'm like, wow, dude, like, what the fuck? Why did no adult, like, swoop me up and save my ass? Like, if I was to see me then as me now, I would be doing something, right? I shouldn't even be alive. I should not be alive, you guys. I'm serious. Like, there is by science and logic, and I'm not a religious person. I'm not a super spiritual person. I should not be here. It makes no logical sense why I'm here. And like I said, I will tell you guys those stories later. But if you are experiencing this, if maybe you're, if you're 15 or 12 or whatever age, I don't care what age you are, and you have somebody in your life that's doing this, do not make the same mistake that I made and not say anything. And I know everybody tells you that, and that's what you're going to hear from all the adults, and you're going to hear it in school, and you're going to hear it, growing up or whatever. And you're going to hear, everybody say, tell somebody. And I know how kids think. You guys think, yeah, okay, all the adults say that. And then they run and they tell their friends, and then their friends keep it a secret. There is no reason to keep it a secret, right? So, for example, a lot of people are going to tell you, I'll kill your family, or mom and dad won't like you, or it'll split and break your family up, or maybe they'll hurt you, or whatever, okay? The reason that they're telling you that is because they need you to comply to keep doing what it is that they want to do to you. And if you speak up, that is not going to allow them to do that to you anymore. That is what they're afraid of. The reason that they're threatening you is because you hold the power. You can make it stop. And if you choose not to say anything, it'll never stop. It's just going to keep happening until you make a stand or get away from it or something, right? And if you're at that point, and I've seen a lot of girls, okay, I had a girl out here, and I run a crime page. I had a girl out here that was, I think 14 at the time. And she was very, very dark. She would, wear a lot of dark clothing and dark eyeliner, and you could see the pain in her behavior. So we as human beings, we express ourselves, right? If you look in someone's room, life, car, the way they dress, everything is an expression of you. Everything around you, the way you surround yourself. If you have a very messy car, messy room, just total, complete disarray, that gives an indication that you are not a very organized and put together person, right? That you're kind of all over the place. If you have a very prim and proper and well-kept room, then you have stability and order in your life. If I go into a room like mine's full of Disney princess shit, right? What I see from that is that this girl didn't have a child fucking hood, okay? That it's like a Peter Pan syndrome, so to speak. This is going to have a lasting effect on you. And the more that it continues to happen, the worse it's going to be, right? Now, I didn't say anything. And I didn't have, back then we didn't have technology the way that it is today, where you can just go on YouTube or Facebook, and you have like all this knowledge right at your fingertips and stuff. So yeah, it's good for kids, but it's also bad for kids, right? And I think part of it is that I don't know if they truly believe that, they're in danger of telling, or they don't want to break up their family or whatever. But you get one life, okay? One. Just one. That's all you get. And your childhood is something that you cannot get back. Now, when you are a kid and you are playing and you have this imagination and like childlike spirit to you, as time progresses and you grow, that light is going to dim and dim and dim and then go out. And then you're going to be an adult. And the first thing you want to do when you're a kid is you want to be an adult, because you want to make your own choices and everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I heard the same thing growing up, enjoy being a kid while it lasts. And again, me, I didn't listen. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, but that's true. And you have your whole life to, as an adult, to go through all the fucked up things that we have to go through, like, surviving and bills and things like that. Make this time a happy time, right? And if somebody is in your life and they're making it miserable, if your brother is sneaking into your room at night, if your dad is secretly touching you, if your mom's boyfriend is doing stuff to you, do not allow that to happen. You're in no way, shape, or form to blame, but you can take control of the situation. And if you believe that you're strong enough to do that, you will, and you can. And trust me on that. Every one of you is strong enough to do that, okay? We all have it in us. And I know that you might not feel that way right now, you know, and you might feel like total shit and just hate life and, you know, everything, just hating everything. But you can, trust me on this, you can rise above it and be stronger than that. And you will feel so much better. Okay? Don't be like me. Don't be like me, man. I waited and waited and waited, and I'm not kidding you. This is not the only one. There are many more stories that I have like this. It just did not stop, you guys. You know? And I can't tell you how many people there are out there that are like this, that are bad people, you know? And you can make it stop. You know, if it's somebody in, you know, if it's your mom's boyfriend or whatever, you need to tell her, you know, because trust me on that, 99.9% of mothers out there would definitely want to know if they're sleeping next to somebody who's sexually assaulting their child. Okay? Now, I know there are some mothers out there, really, there are mothers out there that are really fucked up, and they sell their kids for drugs, and they really would allow that type of thing to happen to you. And if you fall into that percent of mothers out there that's like that, then you got dealt a really shitty hand. And it's time that you get out. You know, living in that type of life is horrible. And living with somebody who drinks, and I know because I went through it, okay? Living with a mom that drinks and beats you and tells you you're the reason why the sun doesn't shine, stuff like that. I know, I've been through it. And it's not any way to live. There's got to be another relative. There's got to be something, foster care, anything that can get you out of that situation to where you can regain your mental state so that you're not going through this crap every day, because it will take a toll on you. It will. And it will last for a very long time, but you can fix it, you know? And the sooner that you speak up, the faster you can start to heal and not become a victim, become a survivor instead. And like I said, I'm not somebody that gives pep talks, okay? At all. I'm not at all that type of person. I'm a pretty tough, hardcore, just get the hell out of my face type person. You know what I mean? And I see so many young girls, so many of you. And I can see it, the pain, just looking at you, you know? And I'm looking at your Facebook and I'm seeing, you know, people on TikTok, you know, kids on TikTok and stuff. And they're 10 years old and they're listening to suicide music and slitting their wrists and stuff. And I'm, you know, shooting heroin and doing all this crazy crap. And I'm like, where the hell are these kids' parents? And what is going on in this kid's life to make her this upset? Because believe it or not, kids are not that upset for no reason. Okay? They're either getting picked on or they're getting assaulted. Something is wrong. They are unhappy for some reason, and it is your job as a parent to figure out what that is. Okay? And if you're not the parent watching this and you're the kid watching this, then you are strong enough to stand up and take action. Okay? Don't be like the rest of us that made the mistake of not. Start changing these numbers. I'm looking at statistics for sexual assaults, and I'm seeing somewhere around the 80-90% of people that don't tell, they don't report or stand up for themselves. We need to see a change. You know what I mean? We need to see those numbers flip-flopped where people start speaking up. And the most important thing is to be 100% honest right from the start. You know, don't lie about somebody doing something they didn't do, and don't lie about somebody not doing something that they did do. You be honest, and when you're honest, that's just, it'll work itself out. You know what I mean? Now, that being said, if you're somebody who, you know, is getting raped, or maybe it's over, maybe you did report it, maybe they're gone now, right? And you're just having a hard time working through it, it does get better. Okay, it really does. Now, yes, it will always be there. It'll always change you as a person. Okay, or at least for me and for many others that I've talked to. But eventually it just becomes a scar more so than a wound. So it doesn't really hurt anymore. It's just there and you know what happened, right? And it had an impact on you and you've learned from it. But people, I don't know, you know, I see a lot of, you know, guys say, well, why would she want to be around somebody like that? Why would she be with somebody like that? Why wouldn't somebody say anything? Or, you know, it can't be because she's not afraid of her brother or whatever. Okay. And all of that stuff is just bogus. You don't know what the human mind is capable of. You can have somebody who is perfectly capable of loving their rapist. And you might not be able to wrap your head around that. And they might not be able to wrap their head around it, but it's true. And why? I don't know. But I can try to explain it. And the best way that I can explain it is, and it's going to sound crazy, okay? But if you have you ever hear people say that they wouldn't go back and change the stuff that they've been through because it made them who they are today? And it taught them, you know, the person that they are. And then you hear people say that they regret stuff. Now, regret and mistakes are pretty big words, okay? Everybody makes mistakes, yes. But regret is deeper than that. It's something that if you could go back in time, you would change it. Now, a lot of people say that, but they don't truly mean that. Now, I do have some regrets in my life. Very few, but there are some. And that's one of them, is not speaking up. And then, you know, I mean, you start to ask yourself, like, why people do the things that they do. You know, why did they pick you? Why me? Kind of thing, right? And it has nothing to do with you specifically. Like, there's nothing that you did that made them just pick you, right? It's just they're fucked up. You know, their head is screwed. They have mental issues, right? And their actions have now messed your head up. But the difference is you're not the sick one. They are, right? So when you regain control of the situation and you rise above it and you stop it, that's when you begin to heal. Now, like I said, you might be sitting there in love with your rapist or your molester, whatever. You might have love for them and think that they're like your friend. They groom you. That's what they want. They want you to like them and think that they're your friend because that's what they have to do to get you to comply. And I know that a lot of guys, they do this with girls that they get with. There's a lot of girls that, you know, they are stuck in abusive relationships. The guy tells them that he loves them. And you see these poor girls waste their whole life away with these asshole dudes. Okay. And it's all about their own insecurities. And that is no way to live. Okay. You do what you want to do and you do what makes you happy. And if what you're doing is not making you happy, then stop doing it right now. If you're sitting inside an apartment and you got some asshole boyfriend that comes home and hits you every night and his friends are, you know, molesting you or whatever, you know, you're living in this prison, get out of it. You know, it is no way to live. It is no way to live. You have got to do what makes you happy and do what you think is best and what you want. And don't believe all this crap about I'm going to change and all this shit. That is not ever going to happen. Okay. And the sooner that you walk away from all of the drama and cut ties with the people, you'll be so much happier. You will. Now, you have to understand that if you have a family member that's doing something to you and you don't want to break up your family, that's not you breaking up your family. That that bond has already been broken. No one's just aware of it yet. Okay. So if you have a brother or, like a stepdad, like I said, and they're doing something to you and you don't want, to upset your mom, or you don't want to upset your sisters or whatever, just know that false happiness is worse than being upset and then rising above it, because they'll be upset at first and they're going to have pain and they're going to see, they're going to feel horrible for everything. They're going to feel bad for you. They're going to hate the guy. Everything is going to go down. Yes. But like I said, false happiness is worse. You sitting there miserable every single day to make them have a false sense of security and happiness is not okay. I would rather see somebody be honest and you be happy than them be sitting there like, okay, at least my mom looks happy, or my sisters. Yeah, because they don't know the truth, right? If they knew the truth, how happy would they be? That's not right. And it's not right for you to take on that whole burden yourself. And I know, because I've been there. I've been the girl that takes on the burden for everything, I take the blame for everything. I take the heat for everything, and it's exhausting. And you can only take so much pain before it's just like, why? You know what I mean? So don't do that. I saw a video the other day on the Steve Wilkos show. There was a girl, and her mom was a heroin addict, and she had a little sister. And her little sister was very young, but old enough to know something was going on. And she was the older, girl had contacted Steve Wilkos to come out and talk to the mother and try to get her into some treatment. And the stuff that this little, this 16, I think she was 16-year-old girl was saying was like, I can take the pain for her, and I can this and I can that. And it reminded me so much of me and many others. The people that take all of the heat off of everybody else. They take all the suffering for everybody else, and they can see, for example, they can see everybody in the room, and they will deliberately walk in front of the gun that's shooting them to save everybody else. And then next thing you know, they're walking down the street with 24 bullet holes in their back just to make sure that everybody else is okay. Right? Nobody needs to do that. Right? Nobody. I know exactly how you feel. I've been that person. Okay? And that is not what you need to do. Nobody needs to take the heat for everybody, and it's certainly not for somebody who is doing something like that to you, because that type of person is not somebody you want in your life, and it's not somebody that you want in your mom's life. And then most of the time when people do speak up, what's really sad is it's not for you. It's for somebody else. It's for your little sister. It's for somebody else, like, okay, I don't want this to happen to them, so I'm going to speak up. Like, you feel like you're not worthy, but they are, right? So, you know what? I mean, I can sit here all day and tell you that that's not true, and that you need to speak up for you. And no matter what, some of you are just, you're not going to believe that. So if you're not going to believe it for yourself, then believe it for every other girl out there, because you know what? You are not the only one he's doing that to. And you might be the only one he's doing that to right now. But the moment that they don't get their fix, they seek to get their fix elsewhere. It doesn't just stop, okay? Trust me on that. Now, sexual assault victims and stuff, there's a lot of like mental health treatment and things like that. I never did anything like that. I never, I did do some counseling, but not really. I don't know, who you are. I'm just speaking to a camera, and a lot of you are just like listening to me at home. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't get a reaction from my audience, right? So I don't know anything until you guys comment below and give me feedback. I don't know if you were like, yeah, what you said was really meaningful to me, or, you lost me and you're crazy, I don't know until you guys tell me. But I will tell you this. Sitting here talking to a camera and trying to understand and envision an audience is not easy. But you can rise above it and you can report it. Now, if you're somebody like that, that's going through that, then yes, please say something. Even if you just want to comment on my video and tell me something, give me some feedback, okay? Now, I'm going to be doing videos about this stuff quite a bit, actually, just all kinds of random stuff, not even just this. And I'll do the best that I can to try to explain things as in detailed and possible as I can. That's usually what I try to do. But there's a lot of like, I think that you're going to have a different impact when it's somebody close to you and when it goes on for a very long time. Okay. There's a lot of things that you can do to not be a victim of sexual assault when it comes to like a random stranger assault, you know, like mace, and I carry 2 guns now, right? There's a lot of like little things that you can do in that way, and I'll talk about self-defense stuff in general. But if you have a girlfriend and you're watching this, you have a girlfriend, you're trying to understand her thought process as to like why she didn't report so and so, or why she didn't tell you that your friend assaulted her, or I don't know, something like that. And you're trying to understand her thought process. If you haven't been through it, you're not going to get it, right? And don't judge them and say, well, you know, if this really happened to you, you wouldn't be sitting there hanging out with the person. You know, you wouldn't be talking to him. You'd be afraid of him. That is not true. And that is absolutely not true. Some of the people that have raped me and done me wrong, I could go up to today and talk to them, right? But that's because people like us that have been through shit, we've had to toughen up and survive. Now, yeah, there are some girls out there that will like wig out and they'll freak out and they will go straight into a panic attack and they can't go anywhere near the guy that assaulted them, right? Then there's girls like me that have like bulletproof skin. We've been through so much shit that looking our rapists in the face is nothing. You know, it's nothing compared to what we've been through. And so for somebody to say, well, you know, obviously you're lying since you don't have this type of reaction is bullshit. If anything, that would be the opposite. I'd be like, yeah, she probably did, if that's the case, because she has had to cope and toughen up in order to survive the ordeal that she's been through. And I cannot tell you how fucking annoyed I get when people say that and they're like, well, you know, she'd be afraid of her brother if that was the case. No, she wouldn't. Not necessarily. Everybody reacts differently. It's like when somebody dies and you get somebody who goes straight into shock and doesn't cry or anything. They just bottle it all in, right? And then you get people that just wig out and they're hysterical, right? Everybody's different and everybody responds differently. And usually the people that have this stuff going on in the house, like with a family member or something like that, those ones are normally the ones that bottle it in because they've been forced to, and they've been groomed and they've been taught by this person that this is okay, that this is just the way things are. And if they get you at a really young age, it's even worse. Okay. Now, if you have a girlfriend that has been through sexual, you know, assaults and stuff, and you're going to see that, you know, her sexual behavior could be different than most girls, you know, she could be into stuff that you don't understand why she would be into. Well, because that's what she's been taught. When you'll see a lot of girls that talk about wanting to be choked, you know, during intercourse and stuff. And not to the point of like passing out, of course. But that is very, very typical and normal behavior for people who have been assaulted. And you would think that, you know, and so for some people, it's like a trigger and they flash back to that moment and they're like, oh my God, what the fuck, you know, and they wig out. And then other girls, it's the opposite. It's like they're used to it. You know, that's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with. You know, for the longest time, because I was only touched when I slept. For the longest time, that's what I thought it was. You know, I thought that that's just how it was. And being as how he wasn't the only one that did that, you know, I was like, okay, you know, being 8 years old. I mean, really? You know? And then being 12? Yeah, a 12-year-old having sex with a 16-year-old. Looking at that nowadays, I'd be like, that dude is sick as a motherfucker, right? Back then, no, I did not see it that way at all. I was so brainwashed, okay? Now, like I said, if I wish an adult like me would have seen somebody like me back then, because I could have helped myself. And like looking at childhood me to adult me now, I know exactly what I needed that I never got. And, you know, it did. It caused, you know, damage forever that is never going to go away. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that go through it. And sometimes I feel, honestly, you guys, like even when I do like videos on video games, sexual assault, bullying, whatever it is, I feel like there's something that people say to tell people, but they don't say it in the right way. So, for example, I'm sure many of you have heard that you need to report it, right? And because you hear that so much from people, and you don't report it, and you see so many people not report it, it's almost just like pointless to tell you, right? It's almost like I'm trying to say the same thing, but tell it to you in a different way to try to convince you. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm sitting here telling you the same thing that your teacher in school, your counselor, and everybody else is telling you. I'm just telling you to report it, but I'm telling you in a different way, hoping that I can talk some sense into you, and you can be like, okay, look, now that you put it that way, I understand it better, right? Now, like I said, I have very few regrets, okay? But the ones that I have, they are definitely there for a reason. Now, I can tell you one thing. You do not want to live this life miserable. It's no fun, okay? And you can wake up every day and everything that you go through in your life will be displayed. People leak deception, they leak emotion, right? If, you know, when you're lying, your body, your behavior, your body language, everything expresses what you're going through, who you are mentally. If you're going through something like this, or maybe it's just an abusive boyfriend or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be, it is going to consume you as a person. It's going to eat at you. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be miserable, self-medicating, you know, thinking about suicide. And that is no way to live for anybody. So finding what is going to make you happy is what's most important, right? Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I have somebody in my life that, and I can't say who it is, but I suspect something's going on. And I'm like 99.9% sure something's going on. And I can't prove it 100%. And there's nothing I can do to help this person because they won't tell me the truth. And I know they're lying. And, you know, I haven't told them that I know they're lying, but I'm pretty certain I know that, you know, 99.9% certain. And it's one of those things where you're stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck sitting here watching somebody that I care about go through what I went through. And I'm trying to help them take a better path than what I took. And I can't help them until they agree to walk with me. Does that make sense? You know, if you're not going to walk with me, I can't show you the way. And I wish that this person would, you know, speak up, because like I said, I have watched a happy, healthy person change in a matter of, a couple of months. And I see this huge, huge, huge change. And if you're like looking at this and you're thinking, you maybe have daughters or whatever, and they like recently just started being really depressed and snappy and aggressive and, not liking when a specific person comes around, or maybe they're drawing on their Barbies, or they're displaying an interest in sexual behavior more so than what is normal for, an adolescent. If they're looking stuff up specifically on the internet that would indicate that something's going on. If you see a lot of self-harm, or they have like a yeast infection or something, or, they have pain down there, things like that. If they're starting to get into drugs, hang out with the wrong people, start analyzing your kid's behavior, and you'll see a change. And once that person goes into this dark place, they go down a path of addiction and drugs and alcohol and partying, and it's not good. Okay. And it's almost impossible to pull them back from that once that happens, because now they're in this habit of, this is how they cope and deal with the things that they've been going through, instead of actually dealing with it the right way. So I know I've been talking for a while and I want to get this video put up, but if you guys want to give me some feedback, that'd be great. I'm going to try to get another video out either today or tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm going to say yet, but I do have several videos that I want to do where I talk about, all kinds of stuff, bullying, sexual assaults, my life experiences, things like that. But just know this, that it doesn't just go away. And I don't care who's watching this. Okay. If you're a boyfriend and you've got a girlfriend that has mental issues and whatever. Okay. If you're a mom that's got kids, if you're the kid, if you're the victim, if you're the parent, I don't care who you are, it doesn't just go away. It's not going to go away. It's just going to keep getting worse. So if you got something that you suspect is going on in your house, go with your gut. That's what I'm going to tell you. Because you know what? Usually the people that are most against this type of thing are the ones that do it. Normally it's the people closest to you that'll do you wrong. Okay? And people are very good at getting away with shit. People lie, and you can't, there's a lot of things that you can do to judge, to see if someone's lying. But essentially, somebody could be just a really good liar, right? You think, oh, wow, he had a big reaction, he must be lying. Oh, well, he had no reaction, he must be lying. You know what I mean? No, dude, everybody's different. You can have somebody who's such a good liar, you would never suspect it in a million years. And most people don't want to believe that their child is doing something to their other child. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I end this. And I have seen this happen with 3 or 4 people personally. And I don't know if it's wrong of me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. If I had a child that was molesting another child of mine, so if I had a son that molested his sister, and like I said, I've known people that have went through this personally. If you are a parent and you have that situation going on, and you allow that child to spend one more fucking second in that house around your kid, you are just as much to blame. And that is the way I truly feel about that. It is your job as a parent to be a parent to your children, right? When your child has done something like that to your other child, you have a responsibility to protect that child. And that goes with your boyfriend, that goes with anything, okay? If your daughter has come to you and said so-and-so is doing something to her, and you think she's lying, or you don't believe her, or whatever, or she says her brother did something and you go and yell at him and ground him, and maybe you send him off to boarding school for a year or two and then you let him back in the house. No. No, 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 no. And I know I can't tell you how to run your life, but that's fucked up, dude. Okay? It's your responsibility to keep her safe and feel comfortable. So I don't care if you put a deadbolt on her door and surround her in one of those fucking steel panic rooms so he can't get in. That is not the point. The point is that she has to look at him every day. That she wants to feel safe where she lives and be at home, right? And she should not have to sit there and at a table and eat breakfast with somebody who's touching her or used to touch her. So I don't care if he says he's not going to do it again. I don't care if he went off and did some sexual assault treatment plan and spent 6 years in prison. It's fucked up. It is not good for the person's mental state to have to see that. And that usually does not occur. Usually people don't do that, right? But if you live in a house where your parents have done that, I say leave. That's what I would do. I would leave. I would not be there, okay? And if your kid's running away from home, you know why. Because that is fucked up. That is fucked up. And you are responsible. You're responsible for that. If you know better and if you know about it and you do nothing, you are just as much responsible as the person doing it. Okay? If somebody comes to you, your daughter comes to you and tells you that your boyfriend is doing something to her, if you spend one more second with that dude in your house before you get a real answer, you're sick. You're just as sick. Okay? I don't care what you have to do. If you got to call the Steve Wilkos show and get a fucking lie detector test done, and believe it or not, those things are actually really accurate right now. Okay? They've done pretty well, actually. And then when you take into the account that you're not just doing one test. So even if one person can beat it, you have another person that you're testing. You're testing the person that's making the claims, the person that is being accused, and then you have the mother's side, everybody's side in it, you know? And the odds that all of you are going to be able to trick the lie detector is astronomical, okay? So you, in general, even if, you know, sometimes you don't even need a lie detector. You just know, okay? You need to make sure that you're doing whatever you have to do to keep your kids safe. And not just safe, but comfortable, right? So even if you can stop the sexual assault aspect, what good does that do when their mental health is just as important, and by your lack of action, right, they now have to suffer horribly mentally because of it. So don't do that, and don't sit there in a house like that. You know what I mean? Now, like I said, that's the last thing I was going to say on the matter. But honestly, it really just, it disgusts me how many people out there do this crap and get away with it. And what more so disgusts me is they don't even give a shit, right? But you as a person, and this is going to be like anything in your life, really, you as a person owe it to yourself to go through life doing what you want to do, what makes you happy, right? You know, don't please your parents to go down some family trade. Don't please your parents just to get along with your brother, even though you know he's been doing things to you. Things like that. You do what you got to do for you. Okay? Now, like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of just random stuff. I'm sure I'll get into this topic a little bit more later, but I am going to tell my story, and I'll explain to you guys, you know, everything. And, you know, like I said, I was homeless for a while. I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. And I've been right where you are. I've been where you are. It's a dark place, and I don't care to ever go back. That one was a hard one to get out of. Okay. All right, you guys.